There used to be an abandoned telephone pole in my backyard in Schenectady. The window on the upstairs south wall framed the aged post, and its cross beamed quite nicely. It had no hardware or old porcelain insulators, no evidence of a past life beyond nail holes. Wildflowers grew around the base, and behind it was a tangle of overgrowth that was decorated with the occasional bloom of a 2-tall lilac bush. Where there once were cables, vines grew, and the trees of all varieties stood behind it. The whole rustic scene in all its unkempt splendor looked like a shrine, a giant old rugged cross in the backyard. Jesus of the telephone pole. I mean no disrespect, just a little irreverence. Jesus and I are okay. While it is hard to get too far from Christian symbology in this culture, I find it in my line of vision at the most curious of times. When it comes to religious dogma, I was not raised by absolutists. I was raised Unitarian. Thursday nights were Sunday school. Sunday I went to everyone else's church. So there was the golden rule, and then there was everything else, from everywhere else. Jesus was not my mother's Lord, but the Sermon on the Mount was a consistent source of discussion and the moral footprints we walked in. The Bible sat openly on the coffee table, along with a book on world religions. And there was a dark and abstract rendering of the crucifixion on the mantle over the fireplace. A local artist created the painting, and my mother believed it to be good art. The many bookshelves in the house contained the writings of the world's great philosophers and thinkers, artists and poets. My mother was a secular humanist, consumed with a passion for the existential. A paradox in most people's eyes, and it was hard to ignore Jesus of the mantle. My mother moved the painting from the mantle to her bedroom eventually, saying it was too dark for most folks. But that was years after I left home. When she passed away, I tried selling it in her estate sale, but there were no offers. It ended up following me back to New York because, well, you can't leave Jesus at the Goodwill. The painting found its unceremonious home in a handy tie bag in the back of a closet for a year or two. It was resurrected recently and now resides in our dining room. Jesus of the dining room, Jesus of the telephone pole, Jesus on the TV and the radio. I wish a lot of folks would pay more attention to the message of Jesus and Buddha and Mohammed, etc., and less to making sure we all believe in him and whatever interpretation of him is considered acceptable in their eyes. Personally, I am having a hard time avoiding it. The Sermon on the Mount, that is. It comes to mind whenever I hear the voice of the angry believer. The angry believer. We have entered a phase in history where it is more important to be right than it is to do the right thing. I am angry now as well, and I am weary of the persistent presence of self-righteousness and the lack of knowledge of what all this bossy bullshit will do. I was taught that you love everybody, and you go from there. Everything else is secondary. So here's to you, the non-tolerant believers. May love reign over you. Open your eyes and your heart and lift the burden of judgment from you. May you learn that kindness is the key to life. Here's my song.
Being mean doesn't make you strong, just means you won't get along. You're too weak to carry all that life brings to you. Being mean doesn't make you tough, just means you're not strong enough. You can't handle all that life puts you through. You play the games, calling everybody names, 'cause you're so afraid inside. You may fool the hungry crowd, but in the end you're just loud, full of yourself, blinded by pride. Being kind doesn't make you weak, showing love when you speak, taking care of all that life lets you find. A big heart makes you tough, makes you a life that brings you peace of mind. And when your world is split in two and it seems there's nothing you can do, just remember